I think when you have a really good opportunity, if you can take it, take it. I think that there are certain groups of the population that are more like, I don't know how to do this, but I'll figure it out when I get there. And then there's others that are, oh, I'm not ready. Let me
Right.
get perfect first.
Right.
And while you're trying to perfect, they're already doing it.
Right.
They're already achieving what you want to achieve.
Right.
And so you're losing time. So I think if you can go for it.
Back to the Murphy Cheatham podcast. Really excited for our guest today, Ms. Jade Parrish Marks, good friend, past colleague, past mentee, who's gone on to help lead the transition in her family business. We're just really excited to kind of give you all an inside look on some conversations that we've had about professional development and sales, career changes, so on and so forth. First and foremost, she is a wonderful friend, wonderful woman, wife, mother of a 1-year-old who is sweet. And we just have a lot of great conversations in her, many transitions in her career. And so anything else besides that you want to kind of let the people know about you before we dive into it?
No, I think that's perfect. You got it all.
You got it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit of background, and you all please, reach out to her, look her up on LinkedIn as well. Background: Jade is from here being Dallas. Followed her father's footsteps to go to Purdue. Was in HR, started a career off in HR, and then got into business sales, primarily commercial real estate, as an associate here in Dallas, Texas. And I was fortunate enough to be her mentor during that transition. She says transition into the family business as well, which we might talk a little bit about that. But I thought this would be a good opportunity to have a great conversation on the transition, some of the things you were thinking about, all that type of stuff. So just thank you definitely for being here.
Thank you. I'm like, I was actually fortunate to have you as my mentor. I'm like, the pleasure was mine.
I appreciate it. It was very interesting because in starting in, well, first of all, do you mind going into a little bit of your how you grew up and your background and how you got here?
Yeah, so I grew up in the suburbs of Dallas. DeSoto is home. And yeah, I found my way to Purdue University. I did not want to go there. I actually said no. Everybody's like, you're going to go where your dad's going. And I was like, no, I'm not, because I've always been very independent.
Sure.
And I went and visited and I loved it. So I ended up there and had a really great time. I left there and started with Amazon right after, which was a really, really great job. They were still like just, even back then, just everything was rolling. So it was a really great place to start. That's how I started in HR. Found my way back home to Dallas and worked at a couple other different companies. And then when COVID hit, I had this thing in my mind like, HR has been great, but I feel like I should do something else. So when COVID hit, I was like, I think now's the time. Everybody's kind of blowing up their lives doing kind of weird stuff, new things that they hadn't done before. So I went and got my MBA from SMU here in Dallas, and it was a great program. And that is how I found my way to one commercial real estate, but then also CBRE.
Okay.
So yeah.
So talk about that, because I think that one mistake, if you will, quote unquote, that I made, or miscalculation maybe is better, that when I moved to Dallas in 2007, I just graduated from my master's program at Arizona State. And came here and I didn't have any contacts, right? And I realized that when you move to a new market, really getting involved with the graduate community or the schools or the culture is a lot through the schools, right? And we're really talking about, just emotional discipline and emotional awareness. But before that, what made you choose SMU? Was it being here in Dallas? Was it like Powerhouse? Was it a network? What was your strategy behind that?
Well, it's funny because growing up here, I mean, I knew SMU was here, but it just wasn't really on my radar. It wasn't something that I necessarily was interested in my youth. But then fast forward, I graduated 10 years apart between my undergraduate and MBA. There's a certain caliber of just when you say the name SMU, you run into a lot of really great people. So
Okay.
the network was great, and also just knowing how impactful it can be if you want to make an impact in the city, and obviously anywhere else, but especially in the city.
Yeah.
Um, and my dad was just like, "Hey, I've made some really great connections at SMU. I really think you should consider it and check it out." And so again, I did, and I was like, "I can't believe I'm thinking about SMU," because again, I grew up here. But I did, and I really liked it. I made some really great friends in my cohort, and I'm really glad that I went through it. It was tough, but especially coming from someone who hadn't necessarily had like a true business background.
Mhm.
But I'm really glad I did it.
We'll talk about that because that was a major transition because you were setting your career in HR,
Yeah,
right? And there's a lot of people who are setting their careers, but they always want to do something else.
yeah,
They don't know how to make that transition. They may or may not, you know, be self-aware enough to manage their emotions through their huge change.
yeah.
They might have some anxiety. So how did you manage your self-awareness, your emotions? Talk about like all that through that huge transition when you're already in your career.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely anxiety that was still happening. It was I guess in high school, I knew I was interested in business. So I said, like, I like business. I don't know if I'm a numbers person. I think I like the people aspect of it. And so that's what led me to HR.
Okay.
And I was really focused in college to like I tried to do anything that was could be to give me some type of experience, like if I was doing interviews to be able to say, oh yeah, but that could be like HR. Like I was helping with different types of recruitment, and I was helping doing interviews with like school or boards that I was a part of on
Right.
campus. So I was trying to find a lot of experience relevant to HR and take it with me. So I was really honed in on it and it was great. And but I just kept thinking like this is okay. It's not my favorite thing. I want to do something a little bit more challenging. And so
Hmm.
we as in our family, we have some investments, real estate investments in the city. And so that was always kind of in the back of my mind of something that could be really interesting.
Okay.
I love seeing how much the city had grown. And I mean, yeah, you came here in 2007. It's so different now.
Way different. It
Yeah.
is a whole different
Yes.
Dallas is yeah,
It's
we talk
different.
about that for our name, but Dallas is way different in
Yes.
2026 than it is in 2007.
Yes, so, like,
Yeah.
the impact that commercial real estate had on the city, I always thought that was so cool. Even just, like, little pockets in the suburbs or even just, like, uptown, it's just grown so much. So, I always had that interest, and it was definitely scary to say, "Okay, I think I'm gonna just try it."
Mm,
But I tried to focus on the skills that I already had, which was I think I'm probably a decent people person. I like reading people. I tried to think about what
mm,
I had experienced before and how to make that relevant, kinda like when I was an undergrad.
yeah,
Whatever I'm doing, Imma try to make it relevant so that it can help me going forward. Um, and it was, even at the last group that I worked with as an HR business partner, it was a sales team, and, I worked with them, and it was funny because all the other HR people were like, "Oh my gosh, the salespeople," but I loved them, they were fun to me, and I loved working with them, so that helped me get comfortable with how to work with a salesperson, even as their HR support,
mm.
and what their expectations were and how quickly they move and their expectations in terms of, presenting things to their clients and, winning. So, knowing that, being able to see that and interact with that directly was helpful when I was able to actually transition into sales, so
So when I mean, there's a lot there. Number one, when did you realize that it seemed like you had a lot of emotional intelligence early on? And when did you realize that that was a skill?
which skill?
Just the
Or
emotional
emotional
intelligence to be able
intelligence?
to read people and then be able to, I don't want to say like respond appropriately or act appropriately, but being able to be effective in different rooms.
It's a hard question. I think I was starting to become aware of it as like a skill and maybe something that was a little fun to like read people and figure them out and what's their motive, all that. I think I started maybe pick up on that. So
Yeah,
I worked at Fossil, which is also headquartered here, which was great.
right.
And I think there that was really corporate experience for me. And so, I think I got a chance to really practice that there and hone in on that. So once I got here to CBRE, it was just kind of natural where you're trying to figure out, okay, does this person want to work with us? Do they want us to represent them? Does this person really like, do they really need space? Or they just kind of like.
Right.
So I was able to take all that I'd worked on over the years and even gaining some knowledge of learning about people and their behaviors, even at Amazon. So I think probably after college and just that professional experience, I just kept having to work with people and learn
Yeah,
people, and people make things interesting because they're never gonna do the same thing, they're never gonna do what you expect.
never.
So that was, I think, what helped me get a little stronger there and flex that muscle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's funny. I often think, and I've had some quasi HR roles in the past, right?
Mhm.
And I often think that if that HR professionals, business partners, whatever you want to call it, most of them don't see their roles as sales jobs,
Yeah.
but they have a lot of transferable skills.
Mhm.
But usually, it is like a personality type that kind of goes in with that. You've
Yeah.
been fortunate enough to do both.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in seamlessly, right?
That means I did a good job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you did a good job. So talk about that level of I don't want to call it dexterity or the hurdles you had to overcome once you made that switch from HR then into sales.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that you just touched on is very interesting because and it's funny, I often am told I look younger than what I really am. And so people, I think going into corporate America, fresh out of college, people know you fresh out of college, but after
Right.
a while you're not, you have experience. But I think there was always like, she's kind of young. She doesn't know what she's doing. And so I had to really focus on making sure that, "Oh, no, I'm gonna show you I know exactly what I'm doing," and, "Oh, I'm gonna show you that you can trust me
Yeah.
and that we're gonna work together well."
Yeah.
And that was honestly any role I've been in. When it was HR, it was, you're an employee group, you're my client group, and
Yeah.
that if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna follow up with you on something, I'm gonna do that because I want it's little things like that to show that you can trust me.
Mm.
I want you to leave this conversation, even if it was difficult, that I spoke to you like a human and treated you with dignity, even if it was maybe something bad that you did. Um, and then carrying that forward to commercial real estate, where it's like, I want these, vice presidents, executive vice presidents who wanna work with me and
Yeah.
know that, yes, I'm an associate, but I have a great amount of experience and you can trust me that I'm gonna, like, work hard and be a good partner because I wanna tie myself to you so I can learn as much as I can from you
Yeah.
because the more that I learn from you, the better I can be, with my future clients. So it was always about trust, and then you take that from, "Hey, I'm partnering with you, I want you to trust me," to, "Hey, I want to be your broker, I want you to be your advisor, like, I want you to be my client." So, it's always been about, "You can trust me, and I'm gonna show you how."
Yeah.
Trying to have really good quality of the work that I present, making sure that the way that I communicate with them is, clear, things like that. So I just always focus on that. And I feel like no matter what role you're in, if you're interacting with people, you're going to still need them to trust you. You're going to want them to keep coming back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, no, I appreciate that. And in other episodes, in through all my episodes, I have a theme just about, mindset being first before you plan and execute. And
mhm.
I always joke, with a lot of associates, you've heard me say this, that you're not going to be driving your G-Wagon to your Gulfstream private plane your
Yeah.
first year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the success that everybody thinks you have day one with the title, it takes like 5 years to get there.
Hmm.
I'm very proud of the way that you handle yourself in that role because I saw a lot of people wanting to attach like training norms to you when that wasn't your reality,
Hmm.
right? And now that you say that, that's funny because I think a lot of people did that because they thought you were younger than what you really
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And so they were like, well, she doesn't know anything, she doesn't have the professional experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember people were shocked on how well you wrote emails. Right to executives
Yeah.
because you were used to writing emails to executives
Yeah.
about really sensitive stuff,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, it's funny because my wife is an employment law attorney,
Hmm.
and so a lot of the stuff is just extremely sensitive
Yes.
about that. So you being able to take that trust factor, the details, but talk about how you managed, um, and we talked about this a lot in our prior conversations how you managed the expectations of how you should act versus managing that with your true skill set
Hmm.
and then being effective in that space because that's kind of some That's something I think a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you're kind of like starting all the way over, I was coming straight from MBA
Yeah,
and I had not I had experience, I had professional experience, but nothing in commercial real estate. So
sure.
you know, I think when people are often in that position, it's like, okay, I got to get in here and I got to make these people like me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I need to do so that I keep coming back every day and you're happy I'm here. So I think that there was a balance of I have to do what I have to do because I got to stay here. And the longer I'm here, the more I'm going to learn, the better I'm going to get, the more reps I'm going to get. That's going to help me grow.
Mhm.
And so I know that there were some times that there may have been like, "Hey, I wanna put you in this box," and I'm like, I don't know that I necessarily fit in that box, but I'm gonna do my best in near the box so that, that way
Near
I
the
can
box. I'm in box adjacent.
I'm like, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be in the neighborhood so that way I can keep learning and do what I need to do so that I can personally grow,
sure.
and at the same time, I'm still gonna be kinda multitasking in the background of figuring out, okay, well, if this isn't the perfect fit, then what is? So, I'm always I guess it can be like maybe a multi-passionate is what they say now, where it's like, okay, I like doing this, but maybe this is better. So I always try to keep my options open. And so
Yeah.
a lot of it was, okay, I'm cool with this, but let me make sure that if what I'm doing doesn't feel like me, if I'm just trying too hard to make myself into something I'm not just for the sake of fitting in, let me make sure I'm still being true to myself because that can be exhausting.
Yeah, 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 and I think we've seen it to where people who try to be something they're not, even if it works early on, they cannot sustain it, and they end up
Yeah.
burning themselves out,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly.
Right, yeah. So how have you let's talk about that kinda going off script, if you will. How have you avoided is that how you've avoided burnout? Because 'Cause you've had a lot of life, in the meantime, you had a lot of life events, right? And you've gone back to the family business to take on a role of redefining the family business as it currently put, but how have you identified or staved off burnout in this space?
I mean, I don't know that I'm good at that. I think burnout is something that has come for me a few times.
Okay.
Um, and I think it was more about recognizing, "Oh, okay, this is burnout. Let me make sure I'm doing the right thing for myself." And that's honestly, we had a lot of really good conversations where I
Mhm.
would be like, "Hey, I feel like I should be maybe looking at this, or maybe I should try this." So to me, sometimes in those moments of burnout when at least for me, I didn't know what to do to get out of it. It was like, okay, I have a mentor. Let me ask them because
Yeah.
I am I'm right here in the middle of everything and maybe I can't see what you could potentially see from being stepped outside of the situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I've mastered that. I think that's probably going to be something that I'm going to have to continue to figure out every time burnout is approaching. How do I handle it? How do I back away from it? I think that's going to be a lifelong challenge. But I think sometimes that's like your phone a friend moment. Like, hey, I need help. What are you seeing that I'm not
Phone a friend
seeing? You
moment.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
facts. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm
No, no, no.
sorry.
You're good.
I thought I was interested because yeah, we have had a lot of those combos to where I would see that you're so close, and not like I always find myself combating like the big win idea where people are, to have people go happily ever after, what have you, right? It's always
Yeah.
up and down the ebbs and flows. But I would see you being so close to being consistent and sustainable and you were like, "This is crazy right now," right? And managing the different relationships,
Yeah.
personality types, consistency and all that type of stuff, right? And I would see that we would have those good conversations about it. And I appreciate you for being like vulnerable and coachable, even right now, and having these conversations. I definitely appreciate that. What would you, if somebody was in your position to where they got the opportunity that they wanted, but they didn't know internally if they were ready for it?
Hmm.
Uh, what would you say to them?
I think that I think when you have a really good opportunity, if you can take it, take it. Um, if you're not, well, I think that there are certain groups of the population that are more like, I don't know how to do this, but I'll figure it out when I get there. And then there's others that are, oh, I'm not ready. Let me
Right,
get perfect first.
right.
And while you're trying to perfect, they're already doing it.
Right.
They're already achieving what you wanna achieve,
Right.
and so you're losing time. So I think if you can go for it, and what I think is really helpful along the way is if you have the right people around you. So, like, for me, I've been blessed to really work with some really great people across all the companies that I've worked at, or even not even work, but especially professionally, I've been able to just work with really great people.
Mm.
Um, if you can find those people and you can hang on to them and go back to them, keep the relationship open because they may be a mentor now, or they may still be a mentor in the future. It doesn't have to be the exact same place. It doesn't have to be the exact same role. Sometimes a good fit for a relationship or a good fit for a mentor is just a good fit no matter what. So I think if you have an opportunity and you have a support system, maybe you're not sure how to do it, but you really want to go for it.
Ah,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. So when you were here, right? It was interesting because I remember your first day. I remember when you came on to the program. Program was at the time you were like number 60, and we grew the overall mentorship program
Yeah.
to well over 80, 90, almost like at
Yeah.
one point in time it was like 99 associates
Yeah.
between the US, Canada, and Brazil. All
Mhm.
right. And I wanted to create an environment to where because it was new to you, it didn't mean that it was new to everybody or that some of the questions and intimidation that you had,
Mhm.
you weren't alone in that. Can you talk about like that feeling and how that
Yes.
was?
Yeah, so it was very interesting because again, I had professional experience, but I didn't have commercial real estate experience. I had my MBA classes and people that were willing to go to lunch with me and meet me. That was
Yeah,
pretty much it, or
yeah,
maybe coffee, which is shorter than lunch.
yeah,
Um, so it was very intimidating to go straight from no experience to CBRE, but it was also a fantastic opportunity. But it's still every day, it's kind of like I'm walking in, I'm a fish out of water. What do I do? And the program that I was in was really great because I wasn't alone.
yeah,
It was a group of us, and I liked it because we weren't all the same age. Some people had some experience, some people had none. Some people were on teams, some people weren't. I wasn't on a team. I just worked with as many people as I could and tried to make them wanna keep working with me.
yeah. We created its
Yeah,
own
like,
set
"Hey,
of
I hope I did a great
circumstances.
job. Call me back, call me back."
Yeah,
But
finding internal partners.
yes, so being able to be on that call and seeing like, okay, it's a group of us, and I may not be able to connect with everybody, but I'm just sitting on the call listening to what people are going through.
Mm,
And people are, vulnerable enough to ask questions. And I think probably being someone that isn't straight out of undergrad, I was okay if I needed to ask a question. Like if you're younger, it may be like I'm afraid to ask. I think it's important to ask it. You're
yeah,
probably not the only one with the question.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, ask the question. But I think even if you may not have a question, just sit back and listen, see what everybody else is experiencing, even if they're in different markets, because again, it could impact you in some way,
Sure.
or that knowledge could be helpful to someone else along the way, which can help you with your network internally. I remember those calls being really special. And even to this day, I went to coffee with someone that I hadn't seen her probably in a year. But it was great because we were in the program together
Hmm.
and went to meet up and hear about all the things she'd been working on and all the transitions she was going through in her retail role. So um, even if you're, maybe quiet in the larger group, maybe find a couple people that are going through something and maybe they're not in your market so you don't feel like you're competing. But I probably couldn't stress that enough. Or also my buddy who sat right next to me to be like, "Hey man, what's going on? Do you know about this?" So
Yeah.
I think there's a
Shout
really
out to
big
Candace
thing.
Thurman in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I was like, "You probably know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about."
Candace Thurman in the Bay Area, and,
Yeah.
and Jad. I
Yep.
just sent Jad here a pretty large deal here in Dallas.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Jad is my office brother. He's
yeah,
the little brother.
yeah,
But yeah, I think grabbing onto those relationships and just holding on to them, whether you have questions or you just maybe you're the support person, maybe you're helping them, but in the future, maybe they need you. So, or maybe you need them, vice versa. So I
yeah.
think that was probably really special. And also really good learning because as you're going and you're working with these higher level, professionals, whether they're in your team or you're negotiating against them, as you're using that language that you're hearing used to you, it helps you look good. You
Yeah.
look good, you know what you're talking about. So I can't stress that enough.
Yeah. So community was definitely people who were in the same position as you were.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that a lot of people really, when they're going through something, and it was a way for me to where I didn't know who else to turn to trust. So a lot of times I isolated myself
Yeah.
out of fear of, sounding stupid or looking stupid or what have you. You're gonna do that anyway, so you might as well get it out the way, get around like people.
Yeah.
I remember when I met your dad, Roland Parrish, yeah, a major McDonald's franchisee,
Mhm.
and I met him at a Mavs game,
Mhm.
and it was funny when I met him. I said, "Hey, how you doing, Murphy Cheatham?" And he looked at me like, "I, well, who are you? What is?" And I had known so many of his mentees, right, with Reg and Denisha in Atlanta and a
Mhm.
few other people.
Mhm.
And I said, "Yeah," I said, "I miss your daughter." And he looked at me like, and I asked him, I could say it now. I asked him a very real question. I said, "Why is your daughter working for us?" All right, like you're a really successful McDonald's franchisee, you got the family business, and whether he told the truth or not, I'm not saying you're not telling the truth, Roland. Don't get mad at me. He was like, "I don't know, but she's learning a lot."
Mhm.
Right? And from then you stayed on with us. I saw you grow, really get stronger. You're doing internal sales and external sales. And then you since in the past few years recently left to help transition your family business
Yeah.
in that and selling off some franchises and what have you. I'm not going to get into all the future plans, but if you can as much as possible, talk about that then second transition and what all you've done now and from big thing to big thing now to even bigger things. So talk about
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't know you asked him that question.
that.
Um, so it's funny because I always had this mentality that I wanted to learn as much as I could no matter where I went and be able one day to come back and help my family. And I didn't know that that was actually gonna happen, but all the places that I've been, I felt like I learned a ton. I grew up with a dad that's a CEO,
Mhm.
and both of my parents are entrepreneurs. My mom's a hairstylist. She was always getting clients. Like, I grew up in a entrepreneurial household.
Mm.
But I always felt like, "Okay, I'm gonna go corporate America. I think I can learn a ton. I'm gonna learn as much as I can. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna just soak up all the knowledge, and one day I'll be able to go back and help my family." So that's always kind of been my goal. Um, it was interesting just because I think I was trying to, again, like, "Okay, I'm trying to be something, and I'm worried about all these things, and maybe I need to shift my focus to what more aligns with me as a person," and that was the family business.
Mm.
So, a lot of it was focusing on clients, etcetera, and versus the family business where it's like we have our own investment portfolio that we wanna make sure that we're focusing on
Mm.
and, our charitable foundation. So, it was
And
very
y'all have done a
hard.
lot. You hold on, time out, time out. This is where we get real. Like, you can't just gloss over, all right, the family business and the charitable foundation. Y'all are probably one of the larger philanthropists and that's what I'm looking for. You all have greatly impacted and are greatly impacting how South Dallas looks,
Yeah.
right? From the high speed rail
Mhm.
to shops at Red. I'm talking about stuff that's public. I'm not
Yeah,
going,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. High speed rail, shops at Redbird, everything y'all have done at Fort Oak Cliff.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of other stuff. I forget the charter school.
What, St. Philip's?
St. Philip's,
Yeah, yeah,
right? You all are very involved there in St. Philip's that they're doing amazing things there. So
yeah.
the way you said like charitable, it was like, don't get me wrong, any and everything else, but y'all have been kind of at the forefront to a lot of major things happening
Yeah.
in that and that has really, I think, led to your family legacy and you kind of pushing. How involved have you been in that? And as much as you can say,
Yeah, yeah.
what are some things that you want to kind of do and see happen in the future?
Well, I think so dad has led the way.
Yeah.
My dad grew up in Gary, Indiana. So, um, obviously, I think being in Dallas has been a fantastic opportunity for my parents. This is where my parents moved to start their first McDonald's, Juneteenth, 1989. So, they've been in business for a really long time, and I think, my dad's first store was in Pleasant Grove out here in
Mhm.
Dallas.
Yeah.
And I think when he drives through certain communities, he sees this feels like home.
Mm,
And something that our foundation is built on is a biblical verse. It's Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much is required.
mm,
And so knowing how blessed we are, how could we not make sure that we're also investing in our communities too? So that's kind of the foundation of everything that we do. And it's been really cool. So like I'm a member of the board of trustees at St. Philip. So I
mhm.
get to hopefully continue making an impact there.
Yeah.
So it's things like that that I just try to be involved in. Let me see. I don't know what all I can share. I think for us, we're really just focusing on transitioning into what does the future look like as a family that is, I mean, we're focusing on generational wealth,
Mm.
which I think
An
that
actual generational wealth, not
yes.
the not the
Yeah,
cliche
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
real generational wealth, which is something that I learned from my dad.
Mm,
Um, there's a lot of families that maybe haven't had that opportunity. And so that's something that we've been focusing on, which I think in Black families, the generational wealth, maybe the business stops at like maybe the second
mhm.
generation. And so we're really focusing on how do we continue and make this better.
Yeah,
And I think we're always, always going to be focused on how do we make sure we're still having a positive impact on our community. So even with our investments, like you think about like the shops at Redbird,
yeah.
I think there's a stigma in the city of Dallas, which is like people don't care about like past 30,
Yep, 'cause
past
I-30
I-30.
is a belt. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, there's beauty out there, there's
Mhm,
wealth out there, there's
mhm,
money out there, there's opportunity out
mhm.
there. And so I think we wanna make sure that we don't forget that, and we wanna highlight that this is not charity. There is wonderful opportunity
Yeah,
outside of just the stereotypical Dallas areas.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
we're gonna have Peter on this podcast as well. Peter Brodsky, the owner of Shops at Redbird. And the crazy thing about South Dallas, when I moved to Dallas, if I could say this, a lot of people were like, "Oh, watch out for South Dallas." And I'm from California, so it was just like,
Yeah.
I go to South Dallas, like, this is beautiful. What are y'all talking about? Y'all act like as soon as I cross over the Red River, that I need to wear like riot gear or something. Like,
Yeah.
y'all chill out. This is beautiful. And
Yes.
then the crazy thing is, Dallas is a big triangle to where southern Dallas below 30, you could fit the city of Atlanta in southern Dallas.
Wow. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can
So
see
so
that.
southern Dallas boundary is twice as large as northern Dallas.
Okay.
Right. So it's a big triangle. So there is a lot there. It's like rolling hills and babbling brooks and all types of parks and
It's beautiful.
and property is beautiful. So thank you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for all that you all have done, are doing, and are continuing to do. And I'm just really excited to see it. Is there anything else that you would tell yourself coming into this industry that you haven't said or maybe you haven't thought of?
Don't be intimidated. I think
Mm,
looking back, it was totally fine. I actually had someone that I worked with here that said, "Remember, everybody has their dog voice." She said the voice that they use when they talk to a dog. It's like, "Hi, little cute dog." But it doesn't matter their CEO, it doesn't matter what their position is, everybody kinda has that same little baby talk, whatever they talk to a baby, talk to a dog.
yeah.
People are people. Don't be intimidated, if you have a goal, put in the work and you can get there. Don't feel, intimidated or feel like you don't belong. You can do what you put your mind to.
So the four principles of this podcast really are mindset,
Mhm.
planning, execution, and then sustainability. Out of those four, which are most important to you and why?
I think mentality. I think if your mentality isn't right, nothing else is right. I feel like that's the foundation of everything.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't have a strong foundation, we all, both in real estate, you'll see the cracks in the windows and everything
Crumbles.
else crumbles.
Crumbles, yeah.
Yeah, I forget who said that in the speech. It was like nobody ever drives a luxury neighborhood and brags on the foundation. But it definitely is, without a foundation, you don't get the all beautiful windows and pools and all that stuff. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jade Parrish Marks. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward
Thank
to hearing
you.
from you. Thank you for listening to the Murphy Cheatham podcast. If you found this information valuable, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow.